And listen, you're a heavyweight. You last competed. Was recently enough? It was over the summer, was it?
Yeah, it was August. It was for
Fantastic.
APFC.
Can you tell us or walk us through that fight? How that fight went?
The build up to it in itself was insane. I had Sergio Pettis had messaged me on Instagram, and because I commented, he had a video saying he was looking for a heavyweight, and I was like, I'm down. I was like, I doubt he'll respond, but I'm gonna, shoot my shot and see. And sure enough, I think it was like it might have been that night. He messaged me and he was like, "Hey, it's 3 weeks away. Are you down?" And obviously, I was like, "Yeah, I'm, super down." I was uh, I was planning to take the rest of the year off because just I wanted to get in crazy shape and spend some time with the family and stuff before that too. And that opportunity came up, and I was like, "Oh, I can't miss this." So I had to lose like 30 pounds in 3 weeks just because I was eating good and I was just not really training too much. But that opportunity came up. I ended up fighting Sergio's brother-in-law, and it was a pretty cool experience. It was I drove up to Wisconsin, which was about a 7-hour drive, but their promotion was super professional. Everything about it, they had a brand new cage, which felt like a mattress. Like if you're, moving around on it, it felt great. Usually, the canvases they'll feel kind of stiff, but it felt like you were walking on a cloud. It was really nice. The atmosphere was nice. It was a nice little venue. Um, Everything about it. Anthony Showtime Pettis, he was really cool. Got to meet him and Sergio. Sergio ended up cornering against me, which I thought was pretty cool. A pretty cool little obstacle to
Yeah,
overcome. And
yeah.
I ended up getting the job done in the third round.
Knocking out his brother-in-law is crazy.
Yeah, yeah, it was wild. But they were cool afterwards. There was some build up to it, which after the fight, he just said he was trying to sell tickets because it was like his home crowd. So I respected that. That was cool. But the face off and stuff, I got that first. It was like a nice experience, kind of getting a little heated towards an opponent before fighting, because
Mm.
usually it's a random guy, you don't know him, and you go and fight a random dude. But this is like all a little animosity. Weigh-ins, we are talking, chirping back and forth at each other, so it was pretty cool to experience that.
That is cool. That is very unique and a great opportunity, mate. So fair play to you for accepting that opportunity when it was available to you. You could have just as easily said, no, I don't want to risk it. I'm not feeling a fight right now. But no, fair play to you, and you went and got the job done. So what's next for you, man? Where would you like to take this next after that big win?
I'm looking. There's a couple. I definitely want to fight with APFC again come 2025. The rest of this year, I'm kind of chilling. I'm working on building my strength up. I took like probably a month or two off. I've taken off the time. I had about a month of training camp because I was supposed to fight towards the end of this month, and that fell through. So when that fell through, I was like, well, I'm gonna take like a month off, eat good, spend some time with my family. Yeah, Christmas is coming up, Thanksgiving is coming up, so I have a little daughter, and I was like, well, I'm gonna just hang out for a little bit because when you're in training camp, you're at the gym a lot, takes a lot of family time away. So uh, what's next for me? I'm really I'd like to either go to APFC and have probably one more heavyweight fight. I want to get to where I'm probably weighing around 230, like a light guy as a heavyweight for my
Mm.
last heavyweight matchup, and then make the transition to light heavyweight. I think light heavyweight would be a good weight class for me. I'm not a big heavyweight at all. I just like to eat, so like a chubby heavyweight. Uh, but light heavyweight, I feel like the smallest I've ever been when I was in insane shape was like 196 pounds, and
Done.
I built up a pretty like dense physique, so I looked probably 175 at like 196. So I'm wanting to get back around there. If I can get to 185, I think my frame would be good. If I can get to walking around about 200, but light heavyweight in terms of just being like a realistic goal as of right now is the goal. Probably one more heavyweight fight than light heavyweight, and I like to fight with APFC, and I had an opportunity to fight for LFA at 1.2, so I'm gonna try to hit them up and try to fight on an LFA card sometime next year as well.
I think so, man. That'd be so cool. You've a good record, an exciting fighter, and with lots of finishes, which is really cool, and unique as an amateur. Um, but yeah, no, beyond that, man, that sounds like a really cool roadmap and trajectory. Look at people like Cannonier who've come down from heavyweight to lighter weights to 205 to 185 and realized quite a lot of success. Do you feel like your time at heavyweight will benefit you when you do make that shift, if you do make that shift?
Yeah, I feel like my whatever fight I take at heavyweight next, I want it to be against a really good, opponent. As of right now, my opponents haven't had a crazy record. There's been a couple who's had more experience than me, but they haven't had more wins. I fought one guy who was like a true heavyweight. He was like 254 with abs, big dude. And I'd like to have another fight like that just to prove to myself that I can fight a guy like that with power.
Mm.
I don't have power as a heavyweight. I like to kind of Nate Diaz people, really
Yeah.
put, wear them down into the later rounds. And my last opponent at heavyweight, I'd like to be somebody who's established himself at heavyweight, but probably not like a guy who's like a Ngannou who's cutting to 260 all muscle. But I can get a matchup that's favorable, that'd be good for the crowd, and a nice like goodbye to the heavyweight division.
That'd be cool, man. It's a very educated way to think about it. To kind of leave the heavyweight division, having said to yourself and established to yourself what you're capable of. That's very cool. Um, oh, when would you like to kind of move on? And I guess what's your roadmap for your career generally? Like when
Uh,
would you like to turn pro?
I'm if everything goes right, I'd like to go pro by the 100% 2025 by the end of 2025. I think I feel like my IQ's there. Like even in my second amateur fight, I thought the dude was a grappler. The only thing I could find on him was some grappling stuff, and he came out there just like as a brawler, and I had to make that adjustment mid fight. And I feel like just with each fight, I feel like I have a really good IQ, especially for an independent fighter. I don't know if you're aware of that, but I'm independent, so just me, just YouTube videos, stuff like that. And
Wait, you don't train out of a gym?
no, no, it's well, I mean, at a gym that has bags and stuff, but not like an MMA gym where you're sparring and stuff. I have a guy. He's not very experienced, likes combat sports, so I've just recently gotten to spar with him, and he doesn't really know what he's doing, so I can't like get hard sparring, and it sucks, but I think it's good to still I get to kind of feel the movement, moving around, and showing him, and eventually as he gets better, I'm hoping we can step the levels up a little bit, and I can work a little more. He's gotten better. He's definitely showed improvements. Shout out Carl. Uh, but yeah, my area there's like one fight gym, and I went there for a month, but it's just there's not a lot of options around here, and it wasn't really for me. Um, I want to have like a nice overall game, and the thing that got me was they were working like 15 punch combos on the pad, and I was like, that's not realistic. And I just feel like in terms of doing it for myself right now, until I move to an area that has a more legit kind of fight gym where they're sparring more often, really working fight techniques that as an independent I'm doing well so far. I know I'll have to make that step into joining an MMA gym at one point, especially the higher level opponents that I fight. But as of right now, I'm doing okay as an independent. Before I go pro, I'd like to hopefully, excuse me, get into a gym. Um, But say that last heavyweight fight that I have as an amateur, I'm fine with taking that as an independent. There's a gym in St. Louis. It's Wolf's Den. They have a couple UFC fighters out of there, and they said I could come down and train. So one weekend I'll probably go there, get some sparring in with their guys and stuff, and just try to get some good work. But in terms of a roadmap, um, yeah, by the end of 2025. I think go pro, and I mean I want to go to the top. I don't think I'm good at a lot of things. Like I'm not a very I'm just a guy. Like I'm a normal guy, the average Joe. But I think in terms of like fighting, I feel like that's something that really clicks with me, and I feel like I understand it. So I want to go UFC, PFL, Bellator, whatever is next. That high up, just one of them divisions. I don't want to say just UFC, and then someone like PFL hear that one maybe there. So any one of y'all, if y'all want to take me one day, I'm game.
Man, that's an incredible story that you have, and you're writing for yourself. Being an independent fighter is insane. That's crazy.
It,
Especially with such an impressive record and so many finishes. Like you just don't see that. I can promise you, you don't see that in the amateur scene. That's really cool. Um, yeah, but I guess beyond that, you mentioned, yeah, like moving to a major organization in the future would be fantastic. And obviously, the news of the biggest organization in the world is John Jones and Tom Aspinall. Can I get your thoughts on that whole situation?
man, I think I'm not. I mean, I like John Jones. I respect what he's done in the sport. He's definitely probably one of the best guys to do it. If he had a little more power in his hands and a little more crisp boxing, I think that he undeniably nobody could ever beat him in terms of GOAT status. Other than that, I think he should definitely fight Aspinall next. Either that or I like the I like the idea of him versus Pereira as well, and that's what kind of sucks too because that does halfway make sense because if Pereira makes it through Ankalaev, then I mean that works for Pereira. There's no and
Mm.
Tom Tom's in a tough spot because I mean he's basically cleared out the division already. So even if he goes and beats John, what's next for him aside from having a rematch with somebody who he's already finished the first round. But I definitely think either if he does want to run the fight with Pereira, I think he should relinquish the title and give it to Aspinall. I understand him though; it is smart. Like Aspinall is a tough opponent for him. He's getting on the older side of things. Him and Pereira are about the same age, so that would be a good super fight. But I think if he wants to go that direction and the UFC wants to take that next step for him, I think he should relinquish the title. That way, there's at least an active heavyweight champion at heavyweight.
Mm. I think that's very true. I think that's it. Like this whole idea of like John can fight who he wants. I'm like, no, he can't. I
Yeah,
think like no, you don't see Bilal Muhammad being like, yeah, I don't want to fight Shavkat. I'm gonna fight someone 10 fights in. Like it doesn't matter who you are. You
yeah,
have to. It's not boxing. Like you have to fight. You have to defend your title or vacate it. Like you were saying. I feel so passionately about it because I do think Aspinall could beat him, and I was kind of skeptical. I was like, oh, like I know John's like still so talented. Even after watching the Stipe fight, I thought Stipe looked poor, and I thought John performed to the level of his opponent, but I think even John doesn't believe he'd beat Tom now at this stage, and that's why he's trying to
yeah.
run for him, which I think he is doing.
Yeah, I don't want to say duck because I mean he has done a lot in the sport, but with all the time off, the convenient timing of him coming in when Ngannou leaves, it's
Hmm.
it's all
It's a bit
really
too convenient.
yeah good coincidences.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. But listen, no, are there any athletes you look up to or try to emulate, I guess, in your own style?
I think definitely like I said earlier, Nate Diaz. I know I'm not a guy who has power, so I'd like to be someone like him
Mm.
or a Max Holloway who really puts pressure on guys. I haven't gotten to that point where I'm really throwing a lot in my fights just yet. I feel like I've definitely done enough to finish my opponents, but I want to put on like a really nice striking clinic in there. Um, so there's Max, Nate Diaz. I really like. He's super underrated. I mean, he's a champion. Below Muhammad, you brought him up earlier. I think he's great. I think it's harder to beat all the guys he's beat via decision than just being a guy who has that one punch power and can just touch
Yeah,
you because it takes a lot more skill to really dominate a guy. So
yeah, that's
those
a really
are
good
my
point.
top three, at least top of my head, top three.
Mm. And Noah, are there any sponsors or brands you'd like to work with in future? Maybe ones that you use on a regular basis?
Yeah, I Ghost Energy. I love their energy
Yeah.
drinks. Nice. I mean, anyone who wants to work with me, really, as long as I'm passionate about it, I don't want to ever be a guy who just takes the first offer. I want to, if there's a sponsor, I want to take something that's good, that looks, that I like as well. I don't want to be the guy who's just promoting something that I don't care about. But if something came to mind, Ghost Energy, just because I'm crazy with caffeine. Every time I go to the gym, I gotta have one. So
Well, listen, Noah, I feel like you're an old head on young shoulders. I'm very excited to see what you do next, especially given that you're an independent fighter. I'm really looking forward to it, mate. But keep
thank
us posted, keep us updated. Where can people follow you on social media?
It's Noah Hurt on Facebook, Instagram. Instagram, it's the Hurt Business. Uh, and yeah, that's it. Just Insta. I'm not a Twitter guy. I can never
No,
really Twitter out, so I'm not a Twitter guy. But Noah Hurt on Facebook, uh, the Hurt Business on Instagram, and I also have a Facebook page that's the Hurt Business. That's like a side thing.
for sure. Well, listen, keep doing what you're doing, mate. Keep posting content. Keep working hard. I'm really excited to see how your journey unfolds, Noah. But listen, keep us posted, and love from everyone here at Millions. Yeah,
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for your time.
looking forward to working with you, Noah. Take care. Yeah.
You too. Have a good one, man.